Canada introduced new visa regulations that came into effect on January 31st this year. Well, these rules have increased the authority of border officials as they can now cancel or modify the visa status of international students, workers, and migrants as deemed necessary. Since Canada is a top destination for Indian students opting to pursue their higher education abroad, these new rules can negatively impact them. But how? Let's tell you. Under the new Immigration and Refugee Protection Regulations, Canadian border personnel can reject electronic travel authorization or eTAs and temporary resident visas or TRVs. Well, this means that border officials can now cancel such documents which include work permits and student visas. However, there are some guidelines which need to be met in order for them to reject permits, like providing false information, having a criminal record, or being deceased. An officer is somehow not convinced that the person in question won't leave Canada upon their authorized stay expiring. Documents are lost, stolen, destroyed, or visa was issued because of an administrative error, or a temporary resident tries to become a permanent resident. Students can also have their immigration papers cancelled if they are denied a work or study visa. In case a student, worker, or migrant get rejected, they will be stopped at the port of entry and sent back to their respective home country. While a person who is already studying, working, or residing in Canada will be given a notice to leave the country by a specified date. Now, the discretion to make such a judgment is entirely upon the officer, which arises a scope of uncertainty and will potentially impact many international students and workers, of which Indians are the largest group of foreign nationals in either country. Well, these changes are in line with Canada's strategy to tighten immigration rules. According to Ministry of External Affairs, there are around 4,27,000 Indian students studying in Canada. The amended rules would result in the cancellation of approximately 7,000 additional temporary resident visas, work permits, and study permits, according to reports. Well, not just the new rules. In November 2024, Canada suspended the Student Direct Stream (STS) visa program, which Indian students prefer to avail themselves of to study in Canada. Combined with the revocation of SDS, this move can impact the Indian students adversely. So now, if study permits are revoked with temporary resident visas, students will have trouble finishing their studies or moving to work permits after graduation. This can negatively impact their careers and it will lead to monetary loss as well. Well, Canada also sees lakhs of tourists from India annually. Between January to July 2024, Canada issued 3,65,750 visitor visas to Indians, which was way more than the 3,45,631 visas issued during the same period in 2023. Now, if a person's temporary visa does get revoked, then there is no clarity regarding what will happen to the money invested or already paid by one, be it towards their education, loans, mortgages, or rent paid by workers or students during their stay in case of a sudden cancellation.